Labour differs from lots of other parties in UK politics because it grew out of the trade union movement. As you will have seen, the speakers on this platform are made up of trade unionists. Our next speaker, we are honoured to have Sam Tarry, who is the National Political Officer for the union TSSA. Sam.
Thank you very much. It's been amazing to be back in Ilford. Ilford's a very special place to me. It's where I spent an awful lot of my life living and really, bizarrely I would say, had my real political awakening. A friend of mine was once getting the Central Line. This was about 10, 15 years ago. The height of the kind of anger that was generated by the racism of that time, the Labour government. The Iraq War was headed to, crescendo. And one of my friends on the Central Line got on at Newbury Park. He was a Muslim, he wore a beard, and he was a very decent guy that I'm still in touch with to this day. And he said, you know what, Sam, I'm never going to get that tube to work again because of the way I now feel, because the way this government has made me feel. And I thought, you know what, I need to do something about that. Ilford is a decent place full of decent people. And walking in here tonight, seeing so many friends and comrades from the struggles that have happened here in Ilford, the many times that we stood outside the front of this building, leafleting against the Iraq War, mobilising thousands of people to go on those huge protests. And I learned something though. I learned something that no matter how big those protests were, and how transformative those protests were, that actually at some point I was going to have to do something quite difficult for me at that time. Something I felt quite problematic. And it was really only because actually my involvement in the trade union movement that I was able to do it. And that was to join the Labour Party. And why did I decide to do that? I decided because actually, those people that say that Momentum, and those people that say that everything that Jeremy is about is just protesting, couldn't be further from the truth. Because we are serious about not just changing this country, but doing so in a way that is more decent and more fair and more inclusive than the usual way of doing politics. And so I want to talk a little bit about a number of different things. The first thing, and the most important thing, and the reason I think that actually everyone is in this room tonight, is hope. Because that is what Jeremy, and that is what this new, reinvigorated Labour Party offers. Hope, real hope, of transformative change in our society. Hope that people don't just walk on by on the other side of the road, that actually they reach out their hand in friendship and say, you know, you are welcome here, wherever you are from, and we are going to ensure that we look after you, and that you and your family have a future that guarantees secure homes. One where we say it's not old Labour to say that we're going to build up to 1 million homes, of which 500,000 would be council houses. It's not old Labour to say, actually, the rail system is failing. Fares go up and up and up. Workers, like from my union, their jobs get cut and cut and cut. The delays get worse. It's not old Labour to turn around and say, actually, it's important that we stand up against UKIP or the BNP, where I now live in Barking, just down the road, the tremendous battles that I know many people in this room came to help us fight. That it's not an old Labour thing to say, I'm proud to be a trade unionist because we want proper rights at work and wages that give people dignity and decency and the ability to plan for the future. I'll tell you what it is. It is the Labour Party now, and it is the Labour Party that Jeremy Corbyn is recreating, that you are part of. And I think... Because if you don't have an agenda of hope, all you have is an agenda of despair, agenda of division. And I think over the last few weeks, and over the next coming weeks, some of the policies that Jeremy are putting forward are really, really radical. But at the same time, they're pragmatic, they're sensible, they're not off the wall. By turning around and saying we're going to bring our railways into public ownership so that every penny of profit made is put back into either cutting fares or reinvesting in new trains and more staff. Because they're doing it in France and Germany and Holland, and actually, these things are not just suddenly cooked up. These are well thought ideas. Because actually, underneath it all, what are we really trying to do? That example of the railways, privatisation's failed. It's the example of the NHS that was powerfully talked about by a sister from the BMA earlier on. All of these things have one theme in common, that actually it isn't the interests of ordinary people, it isn't the interests of people in this room that are being put first. It is the interest of the people at the very top, or the rest of us have said and told, you have to have a slice of a far smaller pie, and actually you should be grateful for that. Well, I'll tell you what, when 6,000 people turn out at a rally in Liverpool, and 200 people turn out in a room in Liverpool, and when hundreds of thousands of people turn out to vote for Jeremy Corbyn to re-elect him the leader of the Labour Party, we know full well that those are things that this country needs and wants, and that is why I believe that Jeremy Corbyn can and will be the next Labour Prime Minister. But it's not just about Jeremy, and this is the important thing. One of the themes that you'll see running through everything that the campaign is talking about is about democracy in our party, about opposing the awful stitch-ups that have happened over the last couple of months to stop so many, literally hundreds of thousands of people participating in what we should now proudly say from the rafters is now the biggest political party anywhere in Europe. We have a Labour Party that I really want to be involved in. I joined the Labour Party all those years ago after being involved in those protests against the Iraq War. So I wanted to start to fight to change it from within. But did I actually think necessarily that would be possible? Yes, of course I did. But did I think actually it would happen in such a dramatic way as it has over the last year? No, I didn't. But I think that's so exciting, because if you build something that gives people hope and optimism that there is a better tomorrow, then people will move towards that, because that, for me, is an election-winning agenda. And I think one of the things that we need to really do is to actually say, to every person that ever accuses us of saying we're not serious about winning a general election, to turn around to them and say, we are serious about winning a general election. We are building the movement across this country, from Cornwall to Aberdeen, from Birmingham to Liverpool, from Ilford to Barking to Haringey. All of these places, people are turning up because you, the members of Momentum, the members of the Labour Party, the members that represent millions of people in trade unions that are backing Jeremy Corbyn, are a very powerful movement. A movement that is able to reach into every single community, to go out and have those conversations with people and say, as we heard so powerfully before, why you as an individual support Jeremy, how what he is doing is bringing new people into politics, people who've never thought that politics was something for them. All they see is on the box the Punch and Judy nonsense that goes on in Westminster. This isn't about that. This is about us. This is about ordinary people. This is about our communities and a better way of doing things. This is about going out, all of us, and speaking to those people and saying, you know what, we have an opportunity here, not just to change our lives, but to change the way that this country acts in the world, acts in Europe, and the way that actually this government that we could have, a Labour government, would mean that for a long, long time, all of us can go to bed at night thinking, I'm going to wake up tomorrow in the world where my children will have a better future than what I've had. In a world where actually it's totally fine to be here from any part of the world and to be welcomed. A place country where people actually have hope, that we have an economic plan that will rebuild and transform every corner of Britain. I was astonished when 500 people turned out at an event in Cornwall, an area unfortunately hasn't been Labour for too long, because people understand that we are putting together the pieces of an agenda that will take Labour into government. Because actually, for those people who turn around and say we're not serious about that, we've done it their way for 2 elections and we got smashed. We've done it their way and we lost 3 million votes. We've done it their way and it led to the Iraq War. But I'll tell you what, no more are we going to do it their way. I saw Jeremy earlier on, and he's in a good mood, he's feeling upbeat. You know, the mainstream media sometimes do who do everything they can to hit him really hard. But he's a man of resilience, a man of dignity and a man of decency. And every time we go back and we tell him that there are 200 people in the church and the town hall of Ilford, that will spell him out. Because he isn't doing this campaign for himself, he's doing it for everyone in this room, and for everyone out there in Ilford, and everyone out here in East London, and every person in this country who wants an agenda of hope, who wants to transform society, and wants to kick the Tories out for good.